Hey gorgeous, my name is Lindsay and today we're talking all about the EMP technique, a tool for all the frustrating, contrasted, stressful, anxiety-filled moments of life. I have used this tool so many times to alchemize those situations into something else. I don't know about you, but I used to dwell on those moments. I would go through them over and over in my head, and I would think about, well, they shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't have done that, and I would feel bad for myself or sorry for myself or embarrassed or whatever it was, and I would just be in this storm of this crap in my head, and I would think about it, and I would let it ruin my day. I would let it ruin situations, and I wasn't even aware of it. Once I developed this technique and I became aware of those situations, which I called them anxiety storms, where it felt like logical me and emotional me were at war with each other. Logical me would be like, well, yeah, that makes sense why this would happen, but emotional me would be freaking out, and it was crazy and it didn't feel very good. And over time I developed the EMP technique and I started to use that during these moments, and I started to feel so empowered. I started to learn about myself. I started to take responsibility. I started to have compassion for other people, and it was so amazing, and I'm so excited to share it with you today. So EMP is the first part of Empress Alchemy. Empress is an acronym that stands for expanding love, mirror, pivot, rejuvenate, embody, satisfaction, and surrender. I'm currently creating an online course for hairstylists to start learning about Empress Alchemy and start transforming your life from the inside out. If you want more information on this, check the link in the bio, or you can go to empressalchemist.com. I also have a freebie for you. It's a guide that shares all about the EMP technique so that you can learn even more about it. So EMP stands for expanding love, mirror, and pivot. These are the first 3 steps of Empress Alchemy. You can use this technique right after a contrasting moment happened, or later on during the day, or you can even take moments that happened months ago and work through them. This is a tool for transformation where we can go back and have a new perspective of situations that have happened to us, and to take control back and to start alchemizing our lives. By using EMP technique, we can alchemize our situation by loving ourselves, by growing, and then by pivoting to something different. So before we get into it, I want to share some beliefs that I have with you. I've been on a personal development journey for the last few years, and I have learned so much, and I feel called to share what I've learned with you. And that's why I created Empress Alchemy for hairstylists, and I'm also working on business alchemy for hairstylists. And these are the 2 things that I'm obsessed with: personal development and entrepreneurship, and I cannot wait to share them with you. So I'm going to share each step with you, and then I'm going to give you a little example of how I use the EMP technique in my own life. So first, with expanding love, I believe that love is the foundation of life. We all want to be loved. At our core, that's what every human being wants, is to be loved. But we think that we have to get it from the external. We think that we need to find a partner, or have more money, or have a better career, or whatever it is to feel worthy of being loved. But in reality, we have all the love inside of us. I believe that no one will ever love you exactly how you need to be loved other than you. And oh my God, when I finally got that, when I finally started unconditionally loving myself, and when I finally started feeling loved for the first time, it alchemized my whole world. And expanding love is where Empress Alchemy started. I started expanding in love. It was my mantra. I expand in love for myself and for others. And I actually got this from Gay Hendricks in his book, Learning to Love Yourself. I highly recommend it. I'll link it in the show notes. But I started focusing on unconditionally loving myself when I was hating myself, talking lovingly to myself, not being a jerk to myself. I used to talk to myself so negatively, and I didn't even realize it was happening. So that brings me to my next belief. I believe that thoughts are neither good nor bad, emotions are neither good nor bad, and life is neither good nor bad. It all just is. We are the ones that label it good or bad. I also believe that our thoughts create our emotions, and our thoughts create our reality. So to me, that means that our emotions are actually creating our reality, and emotions are literally energy in motion. So with expanding love, it's all about putting the oxygen mask on first, giving yourself what you need. Let's be selfish. Let's start loving ourselves so that we can overflow into our whole world. I heard that you can't love anyone else until you love yourself, and it's so true. Yet we aren't focusing on loving ourselves. So with expanding love, first you expand in love for yourself. I like to talk to myself lovingly. I will validate myself. I will give myself an internal hug. I will give myself whatever I need in that moment, and I'll give you an example later. And then after you give yourself what you need, give yourself permission to feel your feelings. During expanding love, this is where you feel your feelings, you give yourself what you need, you give yourself that comfort. I was always looking for comfort in those moments, but I wasn't getting it from whoever I thought should be giving it to me. And when I realized that I could give it to myself, everything changed. So after you expand in love for yourself, then you expand in love for the other person involved. You try to put yourself in their shoes. You maybe ask yourself some questions. Well, why are they acting this way? Maybe they were stressed out. Maybe something happened at work. Maybe they got cut off. Maybe they almost got into an accident. There's so many possibilities and reasons why someone else is reacting the way that they are reacting. And most of the time it doesn't really have anything to do with us, but we take it so personally. When my partner used to get mad, I would instantly think, oh my God, he's mad at me. He's going to break up with me. Oh my God, my God, my God. And that's really selfish when you think about it, because it's making their whole world about you. And so when you can start expanding in love for the other person, then you start having more compassion. And then by loving yourself and the other person, it puts you into a perfect spot to start receiving some feedback. So this is where we pull out the mirror and we look at the reflection in the mirror first. By looking in the reflection in the mirror, you can start asking yourself questions. Why was I so triggered? Why did I react that way? What's going on? Is it the problem at hand, or is it something deeper? Is this something that I need to focus on? Is this something that I need to become aware of? Really start taking responsibility for yourself in those moments, because you're growing and you're learning and you're analyzing the situation to see how you can improve. Most of the time, we are the ones that need to change, not the other person. So the mirror technique came to me a long time ago when I was telling my partner a story or an idea that I had, and he responded with a bunch of advice. And I didn't want advice. I knew exactly what I needed in that moment, and I got pissed. And I was like, I just want you to validate I just want you to be happy for me. I don't need your advice. I know what's going on. And I got pissed, and I said something, and then later on that day, I was like, the mirror, because I do that to him all the time. He tells me an amazing story, and I'm like, but you could do this, 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 and this. And then I realize, that doesn't feel very good. But most of the time, we don't realize that we're doing exactly what we don't like. And so in that moment, when you're looking at the reflection, you can realize, maybe I wasn't acting in the best way. And it helps us to grow. It helps us. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about growing and recognizing opportunities that we can grow. And I've recognized so many limited beliefs. I've recognized, maybe I need to work on this area of my life. And our partners are such a great tool to realize the areas of improvement in our life. And so after you look at the reflection in the mirror, then it's time to look through the mirror. This is kind of like expanding in love for the other person. You look through the mirror to think, why are they acting this way? What's going on with them? Maybe they're reacting to their reflection in the mirror and they're not feeling very good about it. And once again, it gives you a different perspective and gives you more compassion for the other person. So after you've expanded in love for yourself, for the other person, looked at the reflection in the mirror and then through the mirror, now it's time to pivot. Pivoting literally means thinking something better. You get so consumed by thoughts, by the situation that happened. He should have done this. She should have said that, whatever it is. And we don't pivot. That situation is in the past. And so when you pivot, you already know that you expanded in love, you alchemized the situation, you saw your opportunity for growth. Now it's time to think about something different. Think about something that makes you feel better than you're feeling now. It's not about feeling wonderful or amazing or faking it. It's literally about focusing on something different, focusing on the date night that you're going to have that night, focusing on the delicious dinner that you're going to have, focusing on the fact that you have next weekend off or whatever it is, literally anything else. I could think about my dog. I could think about how excited I am to go to the lake today, or how excited I am to kayak, or whatever it is. literally anything else that makes you feel better. I believe that there are higher emotions and lower emotions, and higher emotions are love, joy, prosperity, peace, everything that feels good. And then there's lower vibrations, thoughts, and emotions, and that's fear, lack, scarcity, anxiety, stress, and those don't feel good. So the whole point of pivoting is to think about something that makes you feel better than whatever it is you're feeling now. And it's all about feeling better, just a little bit better. And if you can feel a little bit better, then you start shifting away from attracting that crap that you don't want to attracting better things and to feeling better. It's all about feeling better and growing and alchemizing and changing and evolving. And sometimes it doesn't feel very good in the moment, but then we can pivot to something different. So this is the part that kind of sucks. Like, this is the part that's hard. Sometimes I will be pivoting over and over and over and over. And it's like, I get on a lower thought and then a higher thought. And I talk all about this in the thoughts and emotions episode. If you want to get deeper into this, I have an analogy that I use called thought trains. And I feel like our brain is a train station and all of our thoughts are trains. And we just get on these thought trains every day without even realizing it. So as soon as I become aware that I'm on a thought train that doesn't feel good, I tell myself, Lindsay, hop off the train. I literally find something better to think about. There's always something good to think about. If you can think about, just start thinking about all the things that you're grateful for. When you put yourself in an energy of gratitude, you can't have all of the fear, lack, and all of the lower emotions cannot be in your mind. If you are grateful, being grateful can pivot and alchemize your situation. So I want to give you a little example of how I used the EMP technique recently. So my partner and I live on Lake Travis, and we are so fortunate. We live right on the lake and we go down every day, and our neighbor was joining us, and I don't even remember what he said, but he said he asked me to do something for him that I didn't feel comfortable with, and I immediately was like, no. And I was shocked at my reaction, and it wasn't very nice, and I was probably rude. And my partner kind of looked at me, and I immediately felt embarrassed, and I was like, oh. And then my partner kind of salvaged the situation, and they kept walking, and I was feeling really embarrassed and just kind of like, ugh, in my head. And I was trying to pivot and trying to get out of it. And so finally I did. And then I felt like I kind of redeemed myself, and we came up back to the house later, and my partner and I, we snapped at each other. He went to go take a shower, and I went to go do the dishes, and I was like, okay, it's time for EMP. First, I expanded in love for myself by talking to myself. I validated myself. I was like, it's okay that you said that. Like, it makes sense. You reacted. It's totally fine. He's probably never going to remember. And it felt really good to just let myself feel that feeling and to kind of work through it. And then I expanded in love for my neighbor, and because he didn't mean anything by it. And then I expanded in love for my partner because he like saved the day, and it probably didn't feel good to have to like swoop in if your partner like made a fool of yourself and kind of made the situation awkward. So after I expanded in love, I started looking through the mirror. And if you can't tell, the EMP technique is about asking yourself a ton of questions. And during the mirror part, I was like, why did you react that way? And I will literally ask myself that in my head and then just kind of wait. And it's almost like the answer floats to you. I don't know if you've experienced this, but when you're quiet, your intuition can start coming out. And I forget what the situation was about, but I started getting a bunch of answers, and I actually found a limited belief. I started working through that, and it felt so good because instead of feeling powerless, and instead of old me would have probably thought about that all night long, probably wouldn't have had a good night, and it would have consumed me because I would have been consumed about feeling so embarrassed. But instead, I worked through those emotions. I let them rise up in me and give them space and transform them. Then I expanded in love for Dan and the other party involved, and then asking myself questions and getting answers. And it felt so good to be able to have this revelation. Oh, that's why I reacted that way. And we have all of this programming that we've been programmed since we were little kids, and that's okay. But when you find out that you have programming that maybe isn't serving you anymore, it doesn't feel very good when you realize it, because it kind of stings your ego, and it doesn't feel good to realize, oh my God, like, okay, this is why I've been acting this way unconsciously. But it gives you an opportunity for growth, and it gives you an opportunity to alchemize that situation and to move on. So then after I asked myself a bunch of questions and started working through that, I looked through the mirror to see why my partner might have reacted that way. It was very apparent why he reacted that way, and it made me feel better. It made me have more compassion for him and made me feel like it wasn't all my fault, because I have a tendency to think it's my fault. And so then after I did all of that, I pivoted. I thought about the amazing dinner that we were going to have. I thought about the great day that we had. I thought about the great day we're going to have tomorrow. And I felt so grateful and so much gratitude for my life. And it sometimes takes over and over and over, where an hour later you start thinking about the original problem or the original scenario, and you kind of forget that you already expanded in love. You already did the work. You already looked through the mirror and looked at the reflection in the mirror. But then we think about it again. And when we do that, we pull that situation from the past into our present. And we don't want to do that because it's already in the past. We already did our work. Leave it in the past. And so that's why you got to pivot again to something different, to leave that in the past. So I hope that makes sense, that by using the EMP technique, we give ourselves what we need in the moment. We let ourselves feel our feelings. We let ourselves alchemize that situation. We come at it with love. And then we open the door to learning, and we learn more about ourselves and maybe the other person. And it feels so good. Like in the beginning, it doesn't feel very good, but afterwards it feels good you feel proud of yourself for recognizing what happened and seeing it from a different perspective, and it feels so empowering to be able to have control. And then you pivot and you think about something else, because the past is the past is the past is the past. All we can do is learn from it and move on. But a lot of times we let that past continue to haunt us, and by using the EMP technique, you can work through it and alchemize the situation. So just a little recap. By using the EMP technique, you can help to transform, to alchemize, to grow, to give yourself space, to give yourself what you need in the moment. It's all about you. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm all about selfishness. You need to focus on you. Put the oxygen mask on first. It doesn't help others if we aren't working on ourselves. And so that's what EMP and Empress Alchemy is all about. It's all about focusing inward and working on ourselves and giving ourselves the love that we need and the space that we need and the attention and validation and everything that we need. It's all within us. And by using EMP and that Empress Alchemy, we can start transforming and alchemizing our lives. And it's so amazing. So I hope you go check out Empress Alchemy for hairstylists. And want to learn more about the EMP technique, go download my free guide for you. The link is in the bio. And you'll also learn more about Empress Alchemy through that guide. You're gonna have an attitude of wonder, curiosity, and compassion for yourself during this journey, because it's not easy. It's not easy to recognize the ways that you have been living that haven't served you, or the beliefs that you've had that haven't served you. And that's okay, because I also believe that we are perfect exactly as we are in this exact moment, and we can choose to live differently by thinking differently and by feeling differently. And that's what Empress Alchemy and the EMP technique are all about. Want to stay connected with me? Go follow me on social media. I'm Way Society, Way spelled W-A-I. Make sure that you subscribe. I am going to be putting out a ton of entrepreneurship for hairstylist content. Excited to share it with you, and I hope you have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you later.